Hey there, trailblazers. Hope you are doing good. Welcome again to my YouTube channel, Panther Schools. In this video, we will talk about what is Singleton Apex design pattern, and we'll also talk about what are the various design patterns in Salesforce. And Singleton design pattern is basically the simplest one which you will be able to understand, or if I say in terms of understanding or implementing, this Singleton design pattern is the one which is very easy to implement and as well as to understand. So before we start, if you are new to this YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, share, and now without further delay, let's quickly start. So let's first talk about what are the different types of design patterns available in Apex. There are various design patterns which are also available apart from Apex, which are for Java or other programming languages. Here we will talk about what are the patterns which are available in Apex. So if you see here, there are 5 which I have listed. There is one more which I have not listed over here. But we will see here what Singleton is. Then we'll talk about what is a strategy pattern, what is decorator. Then we'll talk about bulk state transition. And in the last, we'll talk about what composite design pattern is. Now this video is mainly focused on the Singleton pattern. So the Singleton pattern, we talk about first thing why we need, then we talk about how to implement this. So why we need is, so the goal for Singleton pattern is to basically make sure that there is only one instance available for an object and there is a global point to access it. Now when we say that one, that means say that you are trying to implement some sort of payment gateway implementation. For example, Stripe. You're trying to integrate Stripe with payment gateway to Salesforce. Now there has to be a method where you are getting some Stripe configurations like their keys, their secrets, their endpoints, and all other details which you need. Now every time you need to make certain updates or make certain API integration to the Stripe, you need those details from the system. So what you'll do is you'll do a SOQL query and then get those. Definitely that will work. There won't be any problem. Now say that you have two methods. One is for updating a customer in Stripe, one is for creating a customer in Stripe. So you have created an account and then you send the customer to Stripe. You updated the account, you send the customer to Stripe. Now let's suppose that the same operation, update and insert, are happening in a single transaction. Now instead of making a single query and having a one query record, you will see multiple queries as well as you will see multiple rows that will be returned, and your code will work without any issue. Now let's quickly see how we will basically implement or what is the structure, and then we will quickly jump into the implementation part so that you can easily understand it. So there will be a Singleton class which will have private instance, private object of your class, the same class. It will have a public property. It could be your simple string, it could be some composite class, it could be object, it could be anything. Then you will be having one static instance method. This is your global accessor method. That method will be accessed by the users in your, not exactly the users, by the developers. When we say that client is nothing, these are not the end users, these are the developers who are using their code, your code into their org. And then a private constructor where we are going to put some logic. Now let's quickly first see the example, very simple example. Okay, there is one more thing that let me quickly open this. Yeah, here it is. So first thing is that here is a very simple scenario which we wanted to implement over here. First we will implement without Singleton and then we will implement with Singleton. So here we have got, say that there is a custom object called reason manager with the name auto number field, manager lookup to user, and then reason is a pick list. There are 5-6 regions. Then account has a lookup to reason manager. That means one reason manager can have multiple accounts. Now here reason is again the pick list values with the same pick list whatever are there in the reason, and then you've got reason manager which is again lookup to reason manager. So this is what we have. This is what the data structure that is. Now what the ask is, every time an account is created with the particular reason, Then the region manager should be auto populated based on what region manager is over here in this account, in this object basically. So for this I have set up the region manager object, which is quite simple with those fields which you have seen. Okay, so I'll just quickly navigate to region manager and I will show you what are the setup that I have done behind the scene. So manager is a lookup to user again, region is a region. These are the only region in the pick list values that you will see. And these are the two custom fields which we have inside that region manager object. Now say that there is an account created with APAC region, then region manager should be auto populated by admin user. If we have EMEA, then this should be the not exactly this should be the record should be auto populated on the account. This is what basically we want. Now let's quickly implement this. To implement this, there is some sort of code I have here, and then we will also develop the singleton part of code. So we have a class over here which is the region manager utility, and this have a public property which is having a map of string and string, and then it is a public getter and private setup. So you can access but you cannot set anything. Now the constructor of this object, what it is doing is it is just initiating this region map with the blank map value over here with the blank map, and then what we are doing is we are querying on a region manager and we are saying that return manager and region from region manager, and we are just limiting it to 5. You can put it any limit like 50 or 100 or whatever you want. Let me make it 50. Now then what we are doing is we are saying okay, this dot relations, whatever the map we have, put region as a key and then manager ID as a value. So basically we have got this region and then we've got manager, this region manager, because that is the lookup we have. Okay, then we are done. So this is a very quite simple code that you already might be aware about. You're just using a map, adding region as a key and then region manager ID as a value. Then we have a class over here. I have a class called account. Okay, what I'm doing is on before update. There is a class accounts. Under that I have a method called on before update. Let's talk about not before update. We're talking about this before insert. We have the same thing under before update, but we'll first talk about before insert. So what we are doing is we are instantiating the region manager utility class over here. Okay, we are saying okay, just give us the user manager class. So as soon as we do an instance of this with the new keyword, creating an object, this map will be ready for us. We will be able to easily access it. Then what we are doing is here we are making a loop on the trigger.new records. Okay, this is nothing, this is trigger.new. We are making a for loop over here, and then what we are doing, there is some static string method where I am trying to convert calculate Lingstein distance. That is just leave it for now. Here we are assigning the region manager. What we are saying is acc.region manager equal to utils.region map. This is our class. You can easily see over here. This is our class, and then we are saying get acc.region. This region field on account has been made required from the UI, from the layout. So because we are going to test from layout, that is what is here. Even if it is not there, then there is no value, it will assign blank value. So this is what we are doing in case of before insert. Same thing we are doing in case of, this is what we are doing in case of before insert, and then same thing we are doing in case of before update. Here, and this is also again before insert and before update, we are doing trigger.new. This is trigger.new what we are querying over here. Not querying, exactly looping, the for loop. And similarly whatever we are doing over here, I can just quickly, let me quickly comment out this. So you can see the same code is there for before update, after update, or before insert. You can also put before update or after insert if you want, and then we're just going to deploy it. Just a simple code on before insert and before update, making sure that account region manager is getting populated. Even we are not checking over here for value change, but that's fine for us. Now I have, or let's quickly see what we are going to do is, here we are going to create a new account record now, and then we are going to see how many number of queries are going to be generated, how many number of records are going to be generated. Okay, or what we will do is, let's quickly I have a accounts class over here, not accounts class, I have accounts unit test. This is my class I have. Okay, what I'm doing here is, inside this test class I have this insert account test method, which is inserting an account. Then I have update account test method, which is doing an insert and then update. So now what is going to happen, in one transaction we are inserting a account record, trigger will run, it will query the region manager utility class, and then it is going to assign the values. Even though we don't have any values here for now in the region manager, but still you will see the magic over here. Then we have got update account test. This is first inserting and then updating. Now if you see here, right, what we are doing is we are inserting, we are updating as well. Now our trigger is going to fire twice, insert and update. So what will happen, the query is going to execute twice, one in case of insert and one in case of update. Let's quickly see how it does. So what I'll do is I'll click on run all test, and once this this test is run, we should be able to see the things over here. So now you can see our Apex test is successfully passed. One thing that we forget to do here is to turn the debug log on. So what I will do is I'll just turn the debug log on over here. If you are inside your if you are inside your Salesforce org, then you need to turn the debug log on for Salesforce org. You can go there and turn the debug log on there. And that is, there is no such hard and fast rule that you have to code this way, like this region manager utility code I'll provide you. Then you can have a trigger, then trigger will call like two methods, one in case of update and one in case of insert, and then before update, before insert, then you can just use the same code whatever I have given over here. So I'll just give the link to this class in the description. I'll add this code into the again in the description as well, so you can use this, or I will also give the link to this code as well. So now our debug log is on. Again, I'll just go ahead and run all test, so that we can basically see the console, see the debug log over here. So we have run this, and then what we'll do is we'll just say, okay, get Apex debug logs. This is our method which we need to use in order to get whatever the debug logs we have. And then this is going to be the Apex test handler. This is the latest debug that we have. So just go ahead, open this by selecting that debug. I'll open this. If you are inside Salesforce org, you can just open the latest debug. Now once the debug is open, I'll just go ahead and go to the bottom. On the bottom you will see number of SOQL queries is 2, and there is no SOQL queries returned. That is expected because we don't have any region manager record inside this test class. But we see here there are 2 SOQL queries written. Okay, now if you just go ahead and in real time, what will happen, if we see here, if we talk about, we have total number of 5 items. So you will see over here 10 items in the real time if update and insert is happening in the same transaction. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make changes into the region utility class. Now what we will do is, before we make changes into the region utility class to make this class as a singleton class, let's quickly talk about what it takes to develop a singleton class. So basically in the singleton class, in any singleton class, what we need to do is we need to make sure that there is a public property then a user can access, public static property. In our case, the map of regions, region map. Then there has to be a private constructor which is going to run the logic like our query things, making the query and all those things. Then private instance of the Apex class. We are going to create a variable which is going to be a type of private inside our Apex class, and that will be also static. And then public static method that a developer can refer in their code. Now this method is very important, the heart of singleton method. We are going to make a method which is public, static, and that a developer is going to include in their code. So now let's make the changes. So first thing what we say that we will be having a private instance. Okay, so we'll say that private static, and then we are having reason utility, and we will say that utils. The reason we are making it as private, so that, sorry, not private, reason we are making it as static so that it can last till the transaction is there. Whatever the transaction time is there, it can last. We have got a public static property that a user can easily access. Okay, and then we need to have one private constructor. So we'll say that private region manager utility, and under private constructor, sorry, we already have a constructor, so we have to make this as private instead of public. So once we make this constructor as a private, no user can use your Apex class like this. They cannot say that give me the object of your Apex class. Okay, that's not going to happen. Now then we need to have a public static method. So we'll say public static, and this is going to return the class itself. It is going to return the class. And then what we will say that get instance. This is what we need to develop over here. Get instance is a method. Now what we are checking here is we are saying if utils, the instance of our class, if that is null, that means this particular class is being called for the first time in the entire transaction. Then what we will say is utils equal to new region manager utility. This is the private constructor, so we will be able to call by itself. And as soon as this code is going to execute, as soon as this class is going to instantiate, our code is going to execute where SOCL is there, region manager is there, the map will be prepared. And if this is not the case, we already have something on the utils, then we are going to return the utils. Now what will happen? For the insert, this method gets called, this get instance. Then what it will do, it will find utils is null, there is nothing. Then it will just return a new instance. It will say, okay, go ahead and prepare the map. In case of update, now this method is going to call. Okay, in case of update, this method will be called. Then what we will find here is it will say, okay, utils, there is something, then return this util. So that will happen, that is going to happen here, and that will save the query for us. Now what we have to do is we have to go ahead and deploy this code over here. Once the code is deployed, now what we have to do is we have to get back to our class, the handler class for our trigger. Now what we will do is we'll say register manager utility, region manager utility dot get instance. This is going to be our code in case of before insert as well as in case of after insert, before update. Now how we will call over here, we will say, okay, region manager dot utility, region manager utility dot region map. This is what we are going to call over here. Now again we have to deploy this. Okay, we are getting some error. A method does not exist or incorrect signature of get instance. Okay. Okay, so there was a small mistake that we have done in our region manager utility class. That's why we are getting the error while deployment. So what we have done is we made this static variable for this region map, but we don't actually need to make this static, because if we make this as static and then we will try to deploy it after saving, we'll get the error, because here we are trying to refer from a non-static method. Okay, so let's say we are trying to make this as a static, we'll get some error. Now while we are trying to deploy, you can see here a static field cannot be referenced from a non-static context. Okay, so that's why we are getting the error. So what we'll do is we'll remove this and we'll keep this as a public. Okay, and then we'll deploy it. Once we have made the change, we'll get back to our accounts class. We also need to make small changes. What we need to say is what now after calling this get instance method. Now if you see here, this get instance method is basically returning the region manager utility object. Okay, that is what the return type is. So we'll also just go ahead and create a variable called utils and then store whatever the value they are getting over here, whatever the outcome for this particular the method call is, we're just storing in the variable. And then with the help of this variable, that means class object dot variable map, which is the reason map dot get, and then we are just doing the things done over here. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and deploy the changes to our org. So now we are done with the changes. What we have to do is, again, I'll just go get back over here in the test class. I'll make sure that I'm just running all the test cases. So click on this run all test, or again, if you don't see, or if you are in your browser, you can use the different way to run the test cases. Now it will just run the test cases, give us the outcome. If the test cases are good to go, we are able to make the progress or not, and then we'll just get the debug log and we'll see what happens and how we are able to reduce the number of queries as well as the number of rows with the help of singleton pattern. So now you can easily see here there are two methods, both are passing, and then what we'll do is we'll use this getApex debug log method, and then I got this one, which is the recent one, and then I'll just get it. It is going to open the debug log for us, and we'll just get back to the bottom. Now you can easily see here, right? We are able to reduce the number of queries. We are able to only see 1 out of 100. Let's quickly get back to here to our Salesforce org. I have implemented this. So I'll try to go to accounts, and as we already have a debug log on, so I'll just quickly navigate to setup, and I'll just go to debug log from here, delete all the debug logs. Okay, so we'll say go to debug logs, and then I'll just open any account. Let's say that I'm just opening this account which is there. Now if I edit this, you will see this reason pick list field I have made required from the layout. So I'll just make sure it is let's say that Canada. Okay, and region manager, this is a pick list, not pick list, a lookup field for the region manager custom object. And as soon as I click on, I'll just add something, some demo description over here because that is required, and then save it. Now once this record will be saved, okay, we got this region manager is populated over here. You can easily see that, right? Region manager is there. Now if we get back over here and refresh this page to see the debug log, and here again we will see one SQL query and then the number of rows returned. I'll just go ahead and click on view. So now you can easily see here, right? 1 out of 100 and then 5 out of 50,000. And then there is some DML which is happening behind the scene that we don't need to worry about that. But if you see the clear difference over here. Earlier we could have seen 2 out of 100 and 10 out of 50,000 records. So that is how the singleton, you can easily see the magic, right? Clearly see how the singleton is helping us to reduce the number of SQL queries, number of selected rows, and this was the main purpose for singleton. There could be other things, right? You can also try to use the static methods. Definitely you can use static variables, not methods. So this is it about singleton pattern, the very first, very simple, and hope I have added some values to your Salesforce development or Salesforce pattern knowledge. And if you are here, thank you. Please do like, share, subscribe. It will help me, and we'll meet into the next video with the new pattern designs. Thank you.